I'd like to start with a couple of questions. How many of you expect people to like you and to treat you with respect? Unanimous. How many of you expect people to help you when you ask for it? A few hands went like this. Okay, well, I think it'd be pretty pessimistic if we didn't expect people to like us or we expected people not to like us. But is it good to expect other people to like us? And I think we'd have to say it depends. Expecting others to like us could come from having a healthy sense of self-respect and self-confidence, but it could also come from a self-centered attitude. So that's what I'd like to explore today. Since January, I think it was January or maybe December, Venerable has been teaching about the technique for equalizing and exchanging self with others on Thursday mornings, and it's been a very rich exploration. So I'm much more familiar with the 7-point cause and effect instruction of developing bodhicitta. So I thought, here's my opportunity to really throw myself into learning more about equalizing and exchanging self with others. So if we break it down into 5 points, then there's equalizing self with others. And I spent a couple of months really thinking about the main points, like really familiarizing with the fact that everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be free of suffering. That's the first point in equalizing. And then also thinking about how everyone has helped us in so many ways. And that really turned into a very rich meditation. As I mentioned last night, really feeling this attitude of like we're just in a sea of kindness. You know, everything that we touch, everything we use comes from the kindness of others. And then that meditation finishes up thinking about emptiness, you know, the fact that these labels, self and other, are really just fabricated labels, imputations. So then moving on to the second and third points of equalizing and exchanging self with others comes down to looking at the disadvantages of self-centeredness and the advantages of cherishing others. And that's where I am right now. I've parked there. I'm going to be there for a while. So when of course, Shanti Deva has countless points to consider in this meditation, looking at the disadvantages of self-centeredness in particular. And then we could infer the benefits of cherishing others. But as a way to synthesize some of these points, I've gone back to a meditation I used in the past. It came from a book called Spiritual Friends, Meditations by Monks and Nuns. It was put out by the IMI Sangha. And there's one meditation in there by Venerable Chantal on these disadvantages of self-centeredness and advantages of cherishing others. That years ago, I spent a couple of months just doing that meditation every morning, trying to familiarize with it. And that took me to a certain level. But now, more recently, I'm just going line by line. And in fact, each one of the lines from this meditation could be its own BBC because there's so much to plumb, so much to understand from each line. But the point that I came to this morning in my meditation is this line that says, when securing my own happiness first is my main motivation, I expect others to like me, treat me with respect, and help me if I need it. Therefore, I'm disappointed when they behave otherwise. So I'll bet all of us can relate to that, especially living here in community. Some people may expect others to like them due to valid self-esteem based on their own integrity, their values, and their behavior. But I suspect that many of us have an underlying expectation for others to like us. Why? Because I'm me, and I'm the center of the universe. It really comes down to that. Thank you, Kathy. I'm glad you're here today. Of course, these two expectations are not mutually exclusive, but when we look closer, we'll find that many of our best intentions are mixed or tainted with self-centeredness. It's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast. So have you ever asked someone to help you and felt surprised when they declined? For no good reason, because you can remember many times that you've helped them. In fact, keeping a little running tab in your mind of how many times you've helped them and why aren't they eager to help you right now. I have to say, my experience in the Abbey is that when I ask for help, most times people help. It's very wonderful, and that's why it's still so even more surprising when I ask someone for help and they decline. Sorry, I'm too busy. Um, and why is that? Well, I'm thinking of my own happiness. I'm not really extending my mind to think about, okay, what do they need? What's going on in their world? What are the things? What are the things that are impinging on them? You know, so many people here carry a lot of responsibility. Maybe some people are a little bit sleep deprived. Whatever. There's a lot. There's a whole list of reasons why people can't help. And so this meditation on looking at the disadvantages of self-centeredness then helps me to step back and actually put myself in their shoes or think about what's happening from their side rather than just, you know, getting upset. Put it that way. Have you ever been in a situation with a friend and been surprised when instead of exhibiting friendship and respect or help and respect, they become competitive or argumentative? You know, here at the Abbey, we have lots of different situations where we work together, and sometimes where we facilitate together or teach together, those sorts of things. And sometimes it can be a little surprising when you're unconsciously thinking of working with a friend, and then all of a sudden, you notice that they're kind of taking over the conversation or not giving a lot of leeway for you to step in and say what you'd like to say. Sometimes that can be surprising when they do most of the talking or whatever. So I've noticed that such incidences are interpreted as national emergencies. And I notice all this rumination starts in my mind, like, I have to talk to that person. I have to, I have to tell them how I felt. And we need to talk about this. We need to process this. Anytime I hear myself saying we need to process this, I step back and say, why don't you just work with your own mind? And that's the beauty of having done this meditation on the disadvantages of self-centeredness, that it really gives me pause to turn back in here and try to put myself in the other person's shoes or think about all the different things that may be going on for them, giving them the benefit of the doubt. There could be countless reasons why a person is acting the way they're acting. Including my own unskillful actions in the past. Maybe they're expecting me to take over and say too much or correct them or do something in a way that's not skillful. So that could still be playing in the background of their mind. So I'm finding that it's much more productive to ask, am I seeing this person as likable? Am I respecting this person in this moment? Am I willing to help this person? Am I willing to cherish them? Just turning, making that little turn. Well, actually, it's a big turn, isn't it? It's 180 degrees. Instead of looking in here and trying to get happiness for this person, really just turning. It's a very simple thing to do and a very powerful thing to do. There's so much more space in the mind in those moments when I can do that. And it opens up this very tight, narrow periscope, what Benwell calls the periscope view on the world. It broadens that so that I can see much more of what's going on, see things from others' points of view. It also reminds me to remember that no matter what's coming at me, I can always look at the person in front of me through the eyes of love and compassion and with a warm heart, as His Holiness was talking about last night. My happiness is not dependent on the person in front of me. I mean, on one hand it is. My happiness is dependent on others. But in that moment, my happiness is more dependent on my own thinking, my own cultivation of positive qualities, my own ways of interpreting and looking at situations. So this may sound very simple, but I have found that when I plumb these things deeply in my own meditation, it has a transformative effect. Hopefully. I mean, sometimes you have to learn these things and then you forget them, and then you learn them again and then you forget them, but eventually they will stick. So the next time you are surprised or feel disappointed because a friend acts like they don't like you or treats you with a little disrespect or doesn't want to help you, it might be helpful just to check up to see, is there some self-centeredness at play? And is there a way to just turn the tables to really see where this person's coming from and really think about how can I help them. Yeah, it's a good theory.